Welcome everyone to another night review. Today we have the 2021 Toyota Venza, and in this night review I'm going to show you everything on the outside details with those lights, the interior lights, and we're going to take it for a test drive and see just how well these headlights do. Now as we start this off, I want you to know I have a full detailed review of this Venza as well, so be sure to look in the description below and subscribe for other night reviews and full reviews if you haven't already. So as we take a look up front, first of all, every Venza is going to come standard with LED headlights and LED daytime running lights. The LE trim level, the base trim, does not get those double swish, those double lined LED headlights or those LED daytime running lights. The XLE and Limited, which is what we have here, get those double lines. And as you can see on this side, those act as the blinkers. So you've got LED blinkers, LED high and low beams. And I'll tell you the headlight performance in a little bit, but style-wise, the Venza has a pointy front end, kind of an in-your-face design here, and it's only a hybrid, so something to keep in mind. As we come around to the side, you've got a nice marker light, really bright on the side, good for safety. You actually get 19-inch wheels here, 18 or 19-inch wheels depending on the trim level. And the mirrors do have blinkers on the side, nice LED light right there. Those do not automatically dim though, which would be nice to see. Now this Venza color is the Coastal Gray Metallic. What do you think of it? It's a grayish blue color. It does have a nice shine at night and during the daytime as well. And as we come around to the side, you'll see the sloping design. This is a little bit bigger than the RAV4, but the interior is no bigger. It's actually smaller cargo area, but you've got a marker light there. And then check this out, a very distinctive design for the Venza and kind of bold for Toyota is this horizontal taillight bar. So all Venzas are going to give you these LED taillights going all the way across, LED tail lights and brake lights, and then you've got that LED blinker below. I'm not a big fan of the separation of the blinker and the tail light so much, but it works. And then LED license plate lights, and then give you a look at what the actual brake lights and reverse lights look like. Now let's look at the cargo area lights. So the Venza does have a hands-free liftgate, standard on every trim level. I'll show you that in the full review, how that works. But a couple things to note is that right up there, you've got some actual lights to lower and lock your tailgate. And then back here, space is smaller than what you might expect. Like for the RAV4 example, the RAV4 is quite a bit bigger in terms of actual space, but it's nice to see you get an LED cargo light right there, and hopefully you can tell somewhat you do get a little bit of illumination into this back area. And as we go around, take a quick look in the back seat. You've got all LED lights on this interior here. So the LED light for the back seat is back there. That is actually called a Stargaze panoramic roof, and I'll show you what that's like in just a second. But there's not much going on back here. Space is average at best. Not bad actually, but LED light kind of broadcast down. Otherwise there's no buttons or switches to light up here except the window switch, which is lit up. Okay, now as we take a look at the most important area up front, one thing is as you approach the vehicle, you see that light coming out from the mirror. You actually get some puddle lamps on this Limited trim that say Venza. So that's kind of cool. Let me turn that back on. And then as the mirror opened up, check this out, cast a shadow on it. It says Venza on the ground, so that's kind of a nice little touch. That's only on the Limited trim. And now as we go ahead and look inside, on the inside of the door sill, you also get Venza sill plate, so that's a nice touch. And then up above, you've got some more LED lights right here. I'll show you that roof in a second. The lights are kind of dim, but let's go ahead and hop in. Okay, so we have push button start, push button right there, and it does light up. And like I said, this is a hybrid, so the engine doesn't usually turn on, but you get a couple physical gauges. And when it's on, it will say ready, like you see in the corner. So while we look at the interior, I want to just kind of give you a quick glance at what some of the interior lights look like and how to use some of the controls. So first of all, on the steering wheel, all of the necessary controls, like your volume control, information controls, all of that stuff works and is lit up nice and easy. It's got a nice soft light blue backlighting. As we look over at the door, you can see the door handle has just a little bit of glow behind it, which is nice. And all of the buttons and switches over here are illuminated, like your mirror controls, lock controls, window switches. And then here's where you get a little bit more of the nitty gritty. On the left, that's actually how you control the interior brightness. So for example, you can dim or brighten the gauge cluster, and the camera adjusts to make up for that. But just so you know, that's right there. This A right there is automatic high beam. So I'll turn that on in the test drive. Traction control, your camera that I'll show you in a little bit, heated steering wheel, and open up your trunk. So I like that all of those are easily visible and lit up. You can barely see, but down at my feet you can see some of that illumination. It's a little bit brighter than it shows on the camera, but you get some footwell lighting in here as well. And a little bit more here, this display is nice and vivid. I like the colors. You got the green, you got the light blue, and then in the middle you get the 7-inch screen on the top couple trims. You get a smaller screen on the base model. You can use your steering wheel to go through all of these controls. You've got trip computer, you can see all your lane keeping, radar cruise stuff, audio settings, and then change any settings of your own on here as well. In front of us, on our limited trim, optional, we get this 10-inch head-up display that gives you your lane system. It shows you your speed, kind of a tachometer style, and it looks really nice. And then as we come across to this big screen is optional on the XLE and standard on this limited trim. Now, it looks nice. I'm just not a fan of Toyota's software on here, but you can customize your home screen. You can have different information on one side of the screen if you want. Like you can even see your hybrid system, how that's all working. You can move it to the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and go to audio. And I just wish that Toyota system was a little bit nicer, a little bit more updated, but there's still a lot that you can do on there. So for example, let's go to our setup. In order to actually customize different light settings on here, you gotta go to vehicle, and then vehicle customization, and then lights settings. And then you can turn off your daytime running lights, control your headlight sensitivity, things like that. You don't have a blue light blocker like you see on Hyundai Kia Genesis models, which would be nice to see. But look at all the touch screen backlit buttons right here. So oddly enough, this is all touch screen. Even the volume is touch screen, which is a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. You have to be precise and you have to actually tap or tap and hold to change the volume, but small complaint. All power shortcuts up there, everything's backlit, dual zone climate control. And on the lower trims, dual zone climate control will give you actual buttons, but it's an option to have these touch buttons, which I would definitely not go for. But down here, check it out. You've got your illuminated start button. You've got some ambient lighting in here, not only like by your charging port down there, but you also have it inside of each part of the center console. So that's kind of a nice touch. I'm gonna move the shifter out of the way. You can see parking brake, brake hold, EV and drive mode button, all that is illuminated as well. And when I put the car in gear, that actually dimmed. So I'm gonna put it back in park and everything got a little bit brighter. So that's kind of cool. When you park, you can see things a little better. And just an FYI, I have not seen anywhere an option to dim or turn off the ambient lighting. But like I said, when you actually put it in drive, things dim a little bit, so it's a little bit less distracting. And check that out, we have a surround vision camera if you get a Venza with this big 12.3-inch screen. You can change the view here, you can see a surround view over there, and you can even press the camera button next to the vehicle or next to your steering wheel to get a couple different views here. So that's pretty cool. And it works fine, even though it's fuzzy, at nighttime. So as you can see down here, the bottle holders are illuminated a little bit. There's a little bit of a gentle glow that comes down there. You've got your heated and ventilated seat controls down here as well. And your armrest can even move to cover those up if you want to. That door gets a slightly illuminated door handle and that illuminated section on the front dash. So up above, this is where the cool stuff is. Check that out. That is actually a camera facing out the back of the vehicle. So for example, you can move it and it's just a regular automatic dimming rearview mirror with garage controls, or you can make it a camera. So that's literally looking out behind me, and it does work at night, although as you can see, like the lights have a lot of glare and flare on them, but it still works. You can change the brightness, move it up and down, and all that good stuff. Right up here, we've got more controls. So each individual light has its own illumination, which is good, so you don't have to hunt around for it. You can turn on all of them. You can have it to where when the doors open, the lights turn on or don't turn on. And then I'll show you one other thing in a second, but see this little light? That little light actually comes down and shines over your center console and your bottle holder to give you some extra light. So this is with that light covered up, uncovered, covered up, uncovered. So that's nice. It gives you a little bit of extra vision to see. And when I turn the lights on, it's pretty bright over in the corner, like in the chair. It's almost kind of like a spotlight coming out the side. There's actually like two little lights right there, if that can focus. But it doesn't really light up the center area as well as you might like, but not too bad, all LED lighting. And then this last little button over here, this is for the Stargaze panoramic roof. So right now it's off and it actually gives you like a frosted look. So there's a light right there, and I'll show you what that looks like if we change the setting in a second. It's a fixed roof, so you cannot open it or open the glass up. You can cover it up with a shade, but it's frosted right now, and now it's clear to where you can actually look at the stars, or you can see that light comes through. So that's a really interesting thing from Toyota. During the daytime, you can turn it on to the frosted view so the sun isn't beating down on you, or you can do this and look at the stars or the street lights. And Toyota gives you a vanity light and mirror up above. Okay, so now I just got the regular headlights on, the low beams, and you've got a good beam pattern going across. It's definitely extra bright in the middle. It seems to sit a little bit low, but I'll show you how it looks in a second. We do not have fog lights, which is a little bit disappointing. There's no all-weather light option or anything like that. Turn the brights on and it's not too bad, kind of a narrow spread, but let's go ahead and get these out on the road and see how they do. Now, the IIHS gives headlight ratings, and these get an acceptable rating on the XLE and Limited with this projector housing. The LE actually gets a worse grade, and these do not come with adaptive headlights like the RAV4, for example. All right, y'all, let's get going on a test drive in this Venza at night. So in this night test drive, I want to show those of you that are curious about how well this is at night, you know, how the headlights do, the automatic high beams. We're going to see what the low beams are like, the high beams are like on semi-dark roads and some real dark roads, even going around corners, and just the overall ambiance. If you really want to know about more driving impressions of the Venza, be sure to check out my full daytime review where I talk about that type of stuff instead of these lights. But it is nice to drive. It's comfortable, it's quiet, more comfortable and quieter than, for example, the RAV4, which this is based off of. And straight out in front, you can see the nice headlight beam pattern right there. I would like to see fog lights here, but we'll see how well these do on some real dark roads. Now, right off the bat, to turn the automatic high beams on, you got to touch or push the little headlight icon with an A inside of it. You don't even have to move the stock to high beams. I kind of wish you actually had to have that in the high beam setting, because even in the low beam setting, the high beams can turn on automatically with that button pushed. But this road, get on it a little bit. This road is pretty well illuminated. I mean, there's a lot of overhead lights, so I'm kind of just going to see how sensitive the automatic high beams are. There's a car off in front of us into the distance as well. And so far, they're staying on just the low beams, which is fine. Some cars are not as sensitive to the overhead lights to where they'll turn the high beams on in this setting, but apparently Toyota, now they just turn the high beams on, actually. So don't know what the mix-up was there, but the high beams are still on, and the high beams really don't do that well. We'll get on a dark road in a second so you can really get a good look at them, but the high beams are still on, and hopefully we hit some oncoming traffic to get a good sense of how well the automatic function does. But the high beams are just narrow. Looking straight ahead, they're doing fine, but I'll give you a closer look here in just a bit. Okay, so that car just came around the corner and the high beams turned off immediately. So that's good. I didn't have to worry about them blinding somebody, and they just turned back on. So that was a little bit delayed turning back on, but not too much to complain about. One quick note is that this mirror rearview mirror camera completely dims out any lights behind you. If you have it in just the automatic dimming setting, it works well. You can get an automatic dimming rearview mirror on the XLE trim as well, but not the camera. Neither of these side mirrors are automatic dimming. I would like to see those be automatic dimming too. Now right there, actually, you see the car off to the left. It was not a direct straight on view of that car, and our high beams turned on for a second and then turned off. So it kind of flashed them, but let's get on this dark road and see how well they do. Okay, now we're turning onto this dark road. I've got just the low beams on first because I want to see how they do distance-wise as we come over this hill. They've got a nice beam pattern. There's a definite cutoff line, and the cutoff line definitely cuts off that left lane a little bit more. It's a little bit close right now. As we flatten out, I can't quite see into that corner. I really wish I had the distance to see into that corner. And then we'll see how we do going around this corner. They're lighting up the road okay. They're not adaptive. That left side of the road is definitely still a little dark. As we come over here, low beams do have good distance when they can shine down there, but as you can see, that cutoff line gets pretty close to us. Now high beams on. That works pretty well, nice and straight. Low beams. Turn the automatic headlights back on, so the automatic high beams will come off and on. See how we are going around the corner with the high beams. And that's doing well. I can see all the reflectors on the road, all the reflectors outside the road. So the high beams are helping some, but look off to the left. That's pretty dark. And as we come on this straightaway, I can see the reflectors way down there. So the distance isn't too bad with the high beams, but it's not great. We turn those off. Low beams there, get a good look at those low beams. They don't have the best distance. I wish that they had better distance, but looking out into the ditches, it's not bad. You don't have a huge peripheral vision with these lights. I wish the fog lights were available to help with that, but they're really not too bad. I'm happy for the most part with these, but I wish that the lights could go a little bit further with their cutoff line down the road. But overall, I think most of you will be happy. I can definitely see why these did not get a top good rating, but to me, they still do a pretty nice job, and I have not had anybody blind me. Low beams are on, high beams are on. High beams are doing good, especially on a straightaway. Around corners, a little bit lacking, but what do y'all think of the ambiance in here? The blue is Toyota's color. The button lights, the gentle ambient lighting, it's all blue, and I kind of like it. Blue could be a little bit stimulating sometimes, but it is a nice feel. I like the ambient lighting overall. I just wish you could control the brightness of it, or maybe even change the colors of it. Now, just for fun, let's put this hybrid in sport mode. Most people don't think of hybrids as being peppy, and I won't say this is peppy, but it's not bad. It's actually, a little zippier than you'd expect. Automatic high beams are on, and they just turned back on as that car went, and they just turned back off. Probably because of the street lights up there, or because of I guess, maybe it saw that car off in the distance, but they're still off. Past this car. And they're still off. They didn't turn back on. Probably because of the street light, the stoplight way down there is my guess. So that's a little disappointing. I wish that they would turn back on and not be that hypersensitive to that. But still, headlights are doing fine. Automatic high beam function has worked okay. Definitely more on the conservative end though, so that's probably a good thing. Anyways, be sure to subscribe if you want to see more night videos like this. I hope these are helpful for everybody that's curious about what these cars are like at night. Be sure to check out my full daytime review and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Tap the thumbs down button twice if you didn't. Hope you have a great night, everyone. We'll catch you later.